Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Dolphin Financial Radio show. Today, we're going to do a holiday special. We're going to be talking about financial lessons or retirement lessons that we can learn from classic holiday movies. Now, this is a show we've done before, and I say we, Tony Shore and I, we've done this show before, but we did it before video. We did it just on our old school radio podcast, and I'm going to bring it back to life because we had fun with it.
We
know
did.
You enjoy it. It's the holiday
Yeah.
season, and we might as well see if we remember some lessons. I got 2 lessons from 4 different movies, but I have a feeling you're going to be able to add some levity to it as well. And I'm going to use
There we go. I'm playing some music, Dan. I don't know if they can hear that.
So what I'll do is I'll show video clips
All
of
right.
these movies.
Cool.
And go through it that way. So I'm going to start with your favorite movie.
What's that?
You tell me what your favorite holiday movie is.
Christmas Vacation.
Absolutely. I knew it. I knew you wouldn't disappoint. So let me start
No,
with this
of course it's Christmas Vacation.
from that. And I got 2 lessons from this. I have a feeling you'll know one, but I'm not feeling you're going to be surprised at my second lesson from this. But we'll start with this video clip about
Clark, what's wrong? Honey. It's bigger than you expected? Smaller? What is it?
It's a 1-year membership in the Jelly of the Month Club.
Okay.
Clark, it's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
I know you
Clark,
like that
that's
one.
the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
So we have a Christmas vacation. Christmas vacation, right?
Yeah.
So what's the lesson there? In that scene, he's talking about his bonus check that he was supposed to get, and he finally gets it, and it's a Jelly in the Month Club, which, like you pointed out, and Uncle Eddie says, definitely the gift that keeps on giving all year. But
Yeah.
he had, if you recall, put a down payment on a new swimming pool.
Yeah.
And he used that bonus to pay for it. And when he didn't get it, all hell broke loose.
Yep. He was way overextended because he spent money he didn't have, and he assumed he was going to get a certain windfall, and he didn't. But I assume the lesson here is don't spend what you don't have. Don't count your chickens. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched.
Yes. Don't, or live within your means. Don't buy on credit. That kind of stuff, for sure. And that's a very, very good lesson that would help anybody into retirement or even before retirement.
Well, yeah.
Keep it real. Or just don't undervalue the Jelly of the Month. That's another lesson. But but here's the other lesson I want from that movie. We've done a show. I've talked about it. The punches in the face. Everyone's got a plan to get punched in the face. There was one about needy family members. I'm gonna put it up here. How that can derail retirement. And you remember in this show when his brother, brother-in-law? His brother says, "Hey, can you help me out? I need some money." Remember? He's like, "I need $50,000." Yeah.
He tucks he's pulling out $100 out of his wallet, and then the guy goes, 50,000, and he just tucks it back in.
And they go shopping, and he's buying all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so you got to be prepared for that, because that's what derails people's retirement is a needy family member, either an adult child that needs to get bailed out in some way, but also in that movie, which I find funny, and it's not a laughing matter, but the way they portray the mother in that, or the grandmother, however you want to call it, will you do the blessing? And she sings the Star Spangled Banner and, say grace. Oh, Grace died years ago. Dementia is a serious issue.
Yeah.
And aging parents are a serious issue. And so the lesson here is, in the movie, it's funny, right? She does silly things. She boxes up her cat in a present in a box, but this could happen. So it goes along that same line of a needy family member. You should think about your parents aging, your adult children needing help, and incorporate that into your plans. So there's a lesson for us. But you didn't think I was going in that direction.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I didn't see the dementia lesson coming, that's for sure. But you're right. I mean, a great point. I'd forgotten about that. I just remember her husband going, "The blessing," because she can't hear the blessing, trying to get her to understand. But
the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
But you're right, and especially, well, not just for our loved ones, but for ourselves, we need to plan. They say, 2 out of 3 people are going to need long-term care, and at least 1 out of 3 will probably need memory care at some point. So you need to plan for those things, at least have some idea. And it's sad that we have to plan for that. And hopefully, science and medicine will catch up or figure something out. But for now, you got to plan for that.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, I'm not trying to ruin your favorite holiday movie, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, one of the most hilarious movies ever, and you just brought it to a screeching halt. Good job.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Thanks, Santa.
Here's my favorite holiday movie. I'll play a clip from it. Definitely the classic.
No, I want an official red undercover knife. You want to get ready by rifle?
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Ho, ho, ho.
So, Tony,
I love that movie. Yeah, that's my second favorite.
I absolutely love it. And I love that scene where he just, the Santa Claus just taps him on the face with his boot. So, lessons from this movie. The whole movie is based on him wanting this BB gun, right?
Right.
And at one point, his friends, they're outside in the pole, and the guy sticks his tongue on the pole because he was triple dog dared. God forbid you don't do it. I think the lesson here, the obvious one, is don't keep up with the Joneses. Don't always try and have the latest thing. Don't follow everyone else just because that's what's doing. The peer pressure, the idea, I have to get the latest gadget, I have to get the newest car. Because it leads to trouble, right? It leads to trouble.
Right.
But here's the lesson that I'm going to bring that you may not see, and maybe it's a stretch, but I think the idea of listening to the experts might make sense. So you got Santa Claus telling you it's not a good idea. You got your parents telling you it's not a good idea. At some point, you got to realize maybe this idea of getting a BB gun is not a good idea. Now, taking that to retirement, when people are trying to keep up with the Joneses, that's obvious. You're not going to have as much, and you realize, that was foolish. But sometimes you got to say, oh yeah, maybe the experts are right. Maybe I should get some real advice instead of trying to do this on my own. Maybe someone knows more than I do. And it sounds self-serving, but maybe it's time to bring in a certified financial planner to kind of look at your financial situation, your retirement, and get that opinion. And that happens a lot. People come to me and say, can you just give me an opinion? Am I doing okay? And I'll say, yeah, you're doing great. Go on, continue on. And sometimes I'll say, no, you need to make some changes, and here's why. And for the most part, people take that advice, but sometimes they just go out and shoot their eye out.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That's a classic movie, though. The tongue stuck to the pole, the lady leg lamp that his dad has.
Right, major award. Like keeping up, trying to impress the neighbors. Like, who are you impressing? That it's so funny.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one. They came out with a second one or a more recent one. I haven't.
Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't seen that either.
I'm afraid.
It can't be as good as the first.
Right. Okay, here's another favorite classic tearjerker for sure. Let's watch this scene.
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
Aw. Aw.
Yeah, it's a Wonderful Life.
Yep.
Wonderful movie, right? And there's a couple lessons I want to bring from that. Now that scene, well, I'll get to that one in a minute, but in the whole premise of the movie, the whole reason why he's struggling and having this life crisis, trying to commit suicide, is because of just a simple error that his clerk made and losing the money, right, in the bank, savings and loans. The quick and obvious lesson is have an emergency fund, have a backup plan. In that movie, he had his honeymoon money as the emergency fund. Not the greatest, but he had to go and collect from everybody, right? And relating to the finances, you need to be prepared for the inevitable punch to the face. You need to be prepared for the mistake, the surprise, the thing that you're not planning for, because they happen. So you need to have, odds are you're not going to be able to go carrying a hat around, but you could. And that's the obvious financial lesson from that movie. I mean, literally, it's about a bank failure, so we had a couple of those in 23, but the government bailed us out. But who's going to bail you out if you have a financial crisis?
Yeah.
So emergency fund is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
But the big lesson from that movie that I feel, and it's in that scene with the book and no man is a failure who has friends. I think that's the lesson, and how it relates to retirement is that, and we've done shows on this. I'll put them up here. How, I said, if I was given $10,000 as a retiree, what would I invest in? And I said, not Bitcoin, not stocks, not bonds, not annuities, nothing. I would invest in my friends, social networks, because that is what drives people to successful retirement, is having people around them to share it with, having a support network when times get bad, when you lose a spouse, who's going to be there? You have to have some sort of social network. And I think that's what this story's about, is the community had his back. He didn't know it, but he nurtured that all those years with these relationships, and that investment in those people was worth a whole lot more than any amount of money that he had at the bank.
Yeah. And that's a really good lesson. And of course, a Christmas classic. All three of these are Christmas classics. I would have added another movie, Elf, with Will Ferrell. Now it's harder I was trying to think of a financial lesson from the movie Elf, and it's a tough one. I really, the scene with, you're an angry little elf.
It's funny. What's the retirement of financial lesson? We talked about that years ago when we did this show the first time. You brought it up because you love that movie, and we thought about whether or not it's a classic. And then when we found out it's like 25 years old, whatever, it's like, oh wait, that is a classic. I can't believe it. It just seems so new still.
Yeah,
because it's not in black and white, I guess. I said the lesson from that was to diversify, not just say you're diversified. So I used the example where he says the 4 food groups are candy and candy canes, candy corn, and syrup. And I said, that's like someone saying, I'm diversified. I have international stocks. I have U.S. stocks. I have small cap. I have large cap. and I have a couple of bonds. Well, that's not diversified. That's just
No.
all risk in different categories.
Yeah,
You need
it's
to
all
be
levels of, it's maybe varying levels of risk, but it's all risk anyway.
right,
Yeah, that's a
right.
good
Where's
one.
your emergency fund? Where's your
Yeah.
cash cushion? Where's your fixed rates?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do like that movie though.
Yeah,
But
it's funny. It's Will Ferrell's
the-
best in my opinion. That and Anchorman, but I think his acting chops are the best in Elf because he is like a child in that movie.
that's true. But I liked old school, to be honest. But then again,
Well, yeah, that's a different story.
so but for holiday movies, yes, that's his best one.
Yeah.
Okay, last one I want to do is also a classic, and I'm going to use the one that you would prefer. You told me in the past that this is the version that you prefer to watch because there's been countless remakes on this. But before I get into that, going back to It's a Wonderful Life, surrounding yourself and having social network, same lesson from Christmas Carol. The good, Ebenezer Scrooge, right?
Yeah.
All the money in the world, but when he goes to Christmas present and he sees people celebrating and he wants to engage in them, but he's shuttered himself away because he's focused on being miserly in money and bah humbug, right? Literally. We've created a word, a Scrooge, just is based on Dickens' character. He learned the lesson that people and relationships are much more valuable than money. So
yeah, that's another classic. Yeah,
absolutely. But this one is going to be a cartoon version of what I consider a classic, and I will get to the lesson in a moment once we watch this clip.
And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
that
There
poor
it is.
dog is all I can say.
Oh, I thought it was a reindeer.
Yeah, he fooled you with those twigs on his head.
There's been some remakes of that.
That's my
one. Jim
favorite,
Carrey did the most recent.
That's my favorite, though. The nostalgia for me with the original animated narration and music. I love that animated version. My second favorite would be Jim Carrey. They have done a more recent one, an animated, full-length animated movie, which is more like an animated version of the Jim Carrey.
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
What would you say the lesson is? I mean, you in fact, you quoted that the last time we did the show. You used that line there that we just played.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the lesson there is obvious, and it's not necessarily about how much, and it relates to the What a Wonderful Life, It's a Wonderful Life lesson that, the real value is often friendship, but with your finances too, you can get too wrapped up in growth and too wrapped up in the material, and you've got to. That's why, and it ties into your downsizing that you talked about in our last episode. Sometimes you can be happier with less, and I'm not saying it's wrong to, you need to save up money, but at the same time, you have to get your priorities straight. That's what I would draw from that.
Yeah, and from experience, my clients that are having a good retirement by any measure, success, they're not focused on stuff. The Grinch was focused on stuff. Let's take away the stuff. They'll ruin them. And it didn't, because they weren't focused on the stuff. It's not about what you have. It's not about, it's more about time spent, experiences. And the younger generation, the millennials or the Generation X, are really big into experiences versus stuff, which is great in a way. But for retirees, they need to make that switch, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult to stop hoarding or saving, and they need to start spending while they're young and healthy, because time is no longer on your side. It never is. Time's on no one's side. But you're better off focusing on the experiences and doing things rather than accumulating stuff, because that never leads to financial success, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not even investing. Not like you said, don't invest stuff to try and make more and more. Have a purpose. If you're going to have an investment, what's it doing for you? Is it generating income for you to do things? Is it freeing up your time to do things? Then that makes sense. But if it's just to grow and, I don't know, keep, fawn over, pass to the kids, I'd rather you spend it.
You can't
and
take it
enjoy
with you.
No, you can't. The Egyptians tried that, I think, and we found it. So,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, happy holidays to everyone. I hope this was interesting. We had fun with it. People have been calling us goofy online, Tony. I don't know if you noticed some of the comments, but I'll take it. And happy holidays. Have a great end of 23 and a great start to 2024, everybody. See you next year.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency.
Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida.
Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc.
Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group.
You should talk to someone at Dolphin Financial Group before implementing any of these strategies or ideas.